Hey friend, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, Scotch Barrel Aged, you say? Dragon's Milk Scotch Barrel Aged Stout with Marshmallows and Dark Chocolate is an 11% Scotch Barrel Aged Stout from New Holland Brewing in Holland, Michigan. This beer is the second release of the Dragon's Milk Reserve series for 2020, and I gotta say, it has all the makings of a good one. Scotch Barrel Aged? Check. Marshmallow? Check. Dark Chocolate? Yeah, definitely a check. I picked this one up during New Holland's Day of the Dragon release, which included this one, Stroopwafel, and Triple Mash. So I think it's safe to say it's going to be about a week and a half of the Dragon's Milk Reserve reviews. Just so you know what you're getting into. This week and half of next week are all going to be Dragon's Milk beer reviews. So you should definitely stay tuned if you're interested in seeing those, and they're going to be just upcoming reviews. If you like to see beer content like this, and maybe more specifically Michigan beer, consider subscribing and sharing these videos so I can, keep bringing these kind of beer reviews and beer videos to you guys. So let's get look at the label, we'll get it into a glass, and we will get on with the show. So as you guys may or may not know, the Dragon's Milk labels really haven't changed much over the last probably year and a half. They changed over to this scaled look where the entire thing looks like dragon scale. On the top it says New Holland Brewing, and it has this green, pale green, maybe slate green color. That's to signify that this is the reserve number 2 of the 2020 series. Each reserve number is a different color. This one has, again, that green slate color replicated on the top. It says 11% ABV. It has the dragon established in 1997. Dragon's Milk Reserve 2020 Reserve 2 Scotch Barrel Aged Stout with Marshmallow and Dark Chocolate. Again, that just sounds delicious. And then on the back here, it says again, Dragon's Milk Reserve 2020 Reserve number 2 Scotch Barrel Aged Stout with Marshmallow and Dark Chocolate. One of our favorite places to share Dragon's Milk is around the campfire, and the second reserved release of 2020 pays tribute to those legendary summer nights. A blend of Highland and Speyside Scotch barrels bring just a hint of peated smokiness that accentuate the roasted notes of our signature stout, while toasted marshmallow aroma and flavors set the stage for a rich, chocolatey finish. I picked this one up today. This has a bottled on date of May 14th, 2020. I think this is the last day if you pre-ordered the Day of the Dragon stuff, which again included this one, Stroopwafel, and Triple Mash. This was the last day to pick it up. So I think the first time was 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was early last week. I think it was June 6th, which would have been a week and a day ago. But yeah, so that's when you could pick these up. I picked it up the last day, drove out to Grand Rapids, brought it back, and this is fresh out of the box for you guys. Let's crack the bottle here, bottle cap, whatever, and get a nose out of the bottle. So it has a little bit of a different aroma than what you might be used to in Dragon's Milk. Dragon's Milk is generally a bourbon barrel aged beer. This one is Scotch barrel aged. And I do pick up a little bit more on this peaty kind of spicy note. So let's go ahead and pour this into the glass. It looks pretty thin, I'm not going to lie. It looks kind of thin coming out for a stout. I would expect this maybe to be this kind of look more for a porter. I'm going to just pour as much as I can get in there without going too crazy. I've got about a finger's worth ahead. It quickly rose up. It's starting to dissipate a little bit, but it's a little bit off-white. Well, it's more like lighter than tan, but darker than off-white. So it's maybe kind of a little, just really light tan color. And the bubbles are really nice and big. Let's go ahead and hold this one up. That is really nice and dark. I'm not seeing my fingers through it, so that's a good sign. It is a stout. Again, it shouldn't be that thin. So let's put a better nose here on the glass. I'm getting rich kind of molasses notes, chocolate, dark kind of chocolate, but a lot of molasses, a little bit of I lose a little bit of that spicy characteristic that I was getting out of the bottle, but I am still picking up really just slightly on that scotchy kind of note. And it looks to me like the head is actually almost gotten a little bit lighter as it's condensed here, but the bubble at this point, the bubbles are really small. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Cheers. So on the forefront, the mouthfeel is a little bit on the lighter side, lighter than I would like to see for a stout. I like my stouts to be a little bit heavier or have a little bit of a heavier mouthfeel than this. But on the front, big scotchy kind of notes in there, a nice kind of peaty flavor in there, a little bit of a spicy note as well. I get a lot of that on the upfront. A little bit of a smoky character as I swallow, as I kind of, my tongue kind of, slaps against the roof of my mouth a little bit. I get a little bit more of a smokiness now. I do get a bit of a dark chocolate flavor. I do get this roasty, smoky flavor right on the tail, like after everything's kind of subsided. The aftertaste that I pick up is a lot of this smokiness, a nice smoky character, like they said, kind of like a campfire, like a roasted, smoky kind of marshmallow flavor. I think the overwhelming flavor of this beer that I can kind of talk about is that scotchy, scotch, smoky kind of characteristic. On the tail end, I do pick up a bit on a dark chocolate, a little bit of a molasses kind of flavor in there. It's not overwhelmingly dark chocolate, so I'm not picking up on a huge dark chocolate note, but I am picking up on a little bit of dark chocolate on the finish. That smokiness comes through a lot more on the finish, and that's maybe where I'm getting this essence of kind of a toasted marshmallow, like almost if you hold a marshmallow over a flame a little bit too long and it kind of gets that black, crust around the outside where it burns a little bit. It's not that dark of a roasted marshmallow flavor, but the marshmallow that I pick up is more on the aftertaste, and the dark chocolate is more on the swallow, but up front, it's big scotch, like big time scotch flavors. But I am still kind of tasting a little bit of those roots of dragon's milk. So I'm still getting that kind of oakiness, that just regular dragon's milk flavor, and that's not a bad thing by any means. That's not something that, I would never turn away a dragon's milk. I think dragon's milk in its regular form is just, its base form is great. But I would have hoped in this one, I know I said scotch is a big portion of the flavor up front, but I think I would have also liked to have seen maybe just a little bit more of that. Like I said, I get that scotch flavor up front, but I'm getting just basically a traditional dragon's milk flavor out of it. So I'm not really I'm getting a bit of the dark chocolate. I'm getting a bit of that roasty, smoky, marshmallowy kind of taste on the tail, but it's not really overpoweringly, or it's not really standing out that much. Like you really have to dig for it. And I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more of all those flavors. And the other nitpick that I have with this beer and that I've had with dragon's milk, and I think I'm going to have it, I don't know about Stroopwafel, but I'm almost positive when I do triple mash, I'm already thinking ahead to triple mash. Last year's base triple mash was really thin, and dragon's milks lately have been really, they don't have a thick characteristic anymore to them. Not that they're ever like super duper, extra heavy thick, but this just has a really light mouthfeel, and I would just like to see that overall amongst all the dragon's milk thicken up a little bit more. I do like that it has, and the other thing I'm picking up a little bit with that scotchy kind of flavor is almost more like a black licorice kind of flavor. So I'd like to get that, but I'd like to get those to be a little bit more stand out, to be a little bit more upfront, and then maybe just, have a little bit more of a boost of that dark chocolate and a little bit more boost of just all the flavors that are mentioned on the bottle. I do pick them up, but you really have to dig for them. I would like to see those amped up. This should have all the makings of a really great dragon's milk, and what it ends up being to me is just kind of an average dragon's milk. It's just like a variation on the regular one. It doesn't really seem that special because those flavors just aren't amped up enough, and I would just love to see more of that. And one other thing, I wanted to bring up the thermometer because I know someone would ask what temperature I'm drinking this at. Stouts, you usually want to do between like 50 and 55. That's kind of like where you really start to get all the flavor, but you still get to have all, the coolness of it. It's not quite room temperature. This is dropping. I am in the 50s right now. I'm in the higher 50s. I'm at about 58%, 58.1. So I'm right on the high end of the scale. I'm at 57.9, 57.7 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to drink these a little bit colder, but just because I know somebody would ask like what temperature I'm drinking this at. So all the flavors should be really accentuated at this point, and I'm just not getting that. So I just wanted to throw that as a little after. All right, friends, that has been the second of the Dragon's Milk Reserve releases for 2020. Have you had this one? Do you agree with what I say? Do you have a favorite Dragon's Milk, or maybe a favorite of these, upcoming Day of the Dragon releases? Have you had all three? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Once in a while, I'll throw out these little beer briefs, and it's all for free for viewers just like you, and you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.